Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Graham and I'm the land steward at Goose Pond Sanctuary. Today, I'm in Ankenbrandt Prairie. I wanted to talk to you for just a minute about planting shrubs for the little green bird. Ankenbrandt Prairie is 80 acres, and as you can see, it was burned this year, except for a little corner way up there, about 10 acres is left unburned. So the little green bird, there's quite a few of them actually, but in this case is the Willow Flycatcher. Willow Flycatcher is fairly common at Goose Pond, and we are part of the Northern Empire Prairie Wetlands Important Bird Area. And some of the most prominent birds on their list for the IBA that we're in includes the Willow Flycatcher, and then it's got a bunch of others like mallard and yellow-headed blackbird, etc. So these little green birds, the Willow Flycatcher, is quite poorly named. They actually don't nest in willows. They prefer elderberry, that's their #1 favorite shrub, but dogwoods are also good, and here's a freshly planted dogwood from today. Some volunteers and I were out here today, planted about 50 of them, and we chose this area down here because it's a little bit wetter. The shrubs won't need quite as much watering, and also this is more of a marginal area. It does have some good plants, like here's a cup plant right here, and it's got some decent grasses and some other stuff. But there's a lot of reed canary in here, and so one way we can boost our wildlife productivity is to plant some shrubs for this little green bird. Just a little more information on the Willow Flycatcher. Bob McCabe wrote a book called The Little Green Bird. That's where I'm getting that from, based on his research from the Madison Arboretum. And one of his, I suppose his most prominent research assistant on that project would be Arnold Jackson, I think Arnold Jackson Jr. And Mr. Jackson is connected to Goose Pond for a couple ways, but he sold his land on Patton Road to Fish and Wildlife Service, now called the Jackson WPA. And we also have a wildlife cover unit named after Mr. Jackson. He spent a lot of time out here collecting seeds with us and contributing in other ways as well. For more information on this little green bird, I'm going to throw a link in the comment box from a Friday Feather feature that Goose Pond released last summer. It's got a bunch of information about their nesting habits and their appearance and other things like that. Here's one more little fella. These cages are super important because come winter time, especially the voles and the rabbits love these fresh little shoots, and also stuff really likes to dig them out along the base. So cages are important. They're more time consuming, but they decrease the mortality of your plants a ton. So some extra effort can really pay off in the long run. We have quite a few of these shrub units around Goose Pond, and that's one reason we have quite a few willow flycatchers. They like these lower spots, right? They don't like standing water, but they like more of a wet meadow type of situation. So kind of to go along with the research done on the little green bird at the Arboretum, going on through this summer, we're going to be doing willow flycatcher surveys. I call it the Yoshi bird, or the jipu, because it makes a real similar noise to Yoshi, the Mario character, but you can look up that call. It's fairly easy to identify. If the bird is not calling, they're really hard to identify because they look a lot like other flycatchers, but also the habitat you're looking in can be really helpful with your identification, but the call is quite important. But like I said, we're going to be continuing the monitoring of this bird because it's important for IBA and it's an important bird at this sanctuary. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat box and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And hopefully in 10 or so years, these little shrubs that are around me will have taken off and turned into some of those shrubs over there. Those are planted dogwoods. Actually, I think those came in naturally by birds. But they get pretty large, they sprawl a lot, they're good nesting habitat, and I see pheasants under these larger shrubs a lot, especially during the winter. And obviously not after it burns, not the best then, but in other times of year, pheasants really like them.